Our exhortation this morning is going to be provided by our brother Stewart. And his title that he provided is, "What Are the Odds?" And there is no associated reading, so we're now asked that you pay your attention to Brother Stewart.
We had to do some testing here, guys. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Sarah and I are so happy to be here. We've been in Arkansas for some great time, and it's been a little while since I've addressed a crowd, so you'll have to bear with me. Almost didn't make it this morning. I did not know that this could happen. No one warned me. Whenever you move, apparently your clothes shrink. It's terrible. Then we're getting ready to go. I'm not making this part up. The power turns off. I'm in the dark, trying to get ready. And Sarah comes to me and she says, well, how are we going to go to meeting today? I'm like, what do you mean? How are we going to go to meeting? We're going to go the same way? Oh, no. She's like, I can't get my car. You can't get your car. Well, it's in the garage and the power's off. And there's like this much room literally between her car and the wall. And I'm like, I'm just going to have to push through here. So I somehow jammed my body and pushed through and got to the car, because you have to go and pull the little emergency thing to be able to open the garage door. So I was close. I was going to call you. No, really, it's great to be here, and I'm just trying to let you guys get to know me, and we're real happy to be here, and we really appreciate all your support. So now I'm going to talk to you guys about one of the things I've been thinking of lately, and it's a topic of faith. Although I do have something I want to show you. Before we get into that, and actually I've created a whole series of classes and talks, kind of revolves around this one idea. And we touched on it a little bit, as we always do in our classes. Faith is a mighty important thing, and it's unique. Before we get going, though, I'm going to ask Brother David to help me pass something out. Ordered this on Amazon. I didn't know where I'd find them in the grocery store. Feel free. He's going to pass this little bottle out, and feel free to reach in there and dump a couple of those seeds in your hand, and touch them and feel them, and look at them, and see what they're all about. Or if you don't feel comfortable with that, just pass along. That's all good. I like props. Brother Perry, I guess it was a little bit ago, gave an exhortation. Had a whole get-up on. I don't have that. You'll have to make do. But faith, let's talk about it a little bit. You can't buy it, and you can't sell it. But you can plant it, and you can cultivate it. We're passing out seeds. I wonder why. I cannot give you faith. I can't give it to you. I can't give it to my own child. You can't give it to your children. You can't give it to your neighbor next door. You can't give it to anyone. And you can't make anybody have faith. No way. You cannot push faith on somebody else. But you can grow it, and you can harvest it, and you can hoard it. You can do all those things. What I hope to do is to help encourage you, my precious brothers and sisters today. And it may not be in a conventional method. My mind doesn't think like conventional minds. Although, I mentioned this to Brother Joe last night. He was at our house. And he gave me this information. I'm going to pull it up real quick, if I can get there. Messages. Sorry for the little delay here. It didn't actually come up the way I was hoping it would. he recommended a book. I haven't looked at it, and I told him I didn't really want to see this material, but he said it would really follow along if you guys are the studious type. The name of this book is called The Privileged Planet, and it's written by Brother Guillermo Gonzalez and J.W. Richards. I'm just going to throw that out. Again, I did not use that information, but Joe said he thought that my thoughts would probably be reflected well in that. Earth, the proof of Yahweh's design. And I don't know if my little seed bottles got around, if anybody's got a chance to see these. What's interesting about these seeds? Little bitty things. You hold it in your finger like that and you can't even see it. These are not the smallest seed, and the only reason I know that is because I've seen some Bermuda grass seed, and it's maybe half this size. Why did Jesus give us this illustration? And there's a couple verses. I got a few today. They're spread out. Matthew 17:20. And he replied, because you have so little faith. I truly I tell you that if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible to you. And then Luke has a similar reflection. Luke talks about a mulberry tree. I sort of doubt that they had the same mulberry trees in the Middle East as we have in Northwest Arkansas. They're huge trees, no doubt about it, but it was probably a different tree altogether. But Jesus used this as an illustration. Is he saying we got to have a whole lot of faith, or that we have to have all the knowledge, or that we have to have it all figured out? Or is he saying that you just need a little bit? And why? Because he will get us there, but we're going to have to take a little bit of initiative and move toward him in one way or the other. Matthew 13, 31, 32. And he told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field. And though it is the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of garden plants. And it becomes a tree so that the birds come and perch in its branches. What are we going to do with that seed? We're just going to, or do we plant it? And then we cultivate it, and it grows. And we help our brethren, and we hope, and we pray that their faith grows, and it becomes the largest of all garden herbs. So that's my little illustration. It's not really the particular subject of my talk, but faith is the reason why we do these things. I grew up in Louisiana. Some of you are well familiar with that. Go Tigers. My grandfather, my paternal grandfather, Brother Ray Sanders, always had a Bible class every night. And you know the things you remember. And I know all of us remember certain little things or whatever. My grandfather, his favorite verse, and I don't know this for a fact, but it's the one I picked up on. It was Matthew 5:5. Blessed are the meek, for you shall inherit the earth. We're all very familiar with that. And I guess it stuck with me because it's really kind of the topic that I'm going to talk to you about. And it's really how God created a perfect habitation for you and for me, and not just for now, but for generations into the kingdom age. And it's not a coincidence. It didn't just happen. It's not, that we evolved from some monkey, or I've seen lots of different things, but that he purposefully created a place for us to dwell. He gives us some time, and his hopes are that through faith, a little mustard seed, that in our lifetimes we get with the program. I'm giving this exhortation for 2 or 3 people, and all 2 or 3 of these people are me, right? So I'm not picking on anybody. I'm giving this exhortation for the fence sitters. I don't know, that's a southern colloquial, at least it was in Louisiana. A fence sitter is a person who can't really make up their mind whether they want to do it or not, right? So this is for the fence sitters. And it's also for the bench warmers. That's what I do a lot. I warm the bench out there. And maybe not a whole lot of action sometime. And is it because I'm afraid? Is it because I don't have any faith? Or is it because I'm just like everyone else, slowly developing? And this is also a talk for what I call the doubting all-stars. So many times just recently, and it bothers me and aggravates me, but somehow we're not keeping one another motivated. It's true. There are people that have been in the truth our whole lives. I just saw a whole bunch of them that people hadn't seen in 20 years. And it's like, how could this have ever been? Or even people recently in our midst that have, for whatever reason, just aren't coming as much anymore. And maybe we're not encouraging, and maybe we're doing a bad job, or maybe we all need to encourage one another and keep our faith alive. So that's the point of my talk today. So I'm going to get into it. I'm going to hope that this works out good. Let's see here. Anybody know what that is? That is a coco de myrrh. I added this slide just recently. It's the largest seed. It's 55 pounds. I guess it's about this big. I don't know. But we weren't asked to have that. We were just asked to have this. Right? So, just a little afterthought. Let me get into my talk. The earth, proof of Yahweh's design. Probability. I'm going to have to read some of these, just two of them. So if I take my eyes off you, it's just for these two. Probability. In science, the probability of an event is a number that indicates how likely the event is to occur. It is expressed in a number from 0 to 1 using percentage notation in the range of 0% to 100%. The more likely it is that the event will occur, the highest probability. Now, before we get any further, Stewart Sanders is not a mathematician. 3 times he took college algebra. Not because he failed, but because he kept transferring from one school to the other. And in Texas, hey, I don't care if it's from LSU or not. It ain't no good. Just the way it is. So let's go to the next one here. What are the odds? I'm missing a slide here. Oh, here it is. There, it's coming up. Statistics is a discipline that concerns the collection, organization, analysis, interpretation, and presentation of data. In applying statistics to a scientific, industrial, or social problem, it is conventional to begin with a statistical population or statistical model to be studied. Again, we're not here for a math class. However, this is important to be able to wrap your head around what are the odds. That's the title of my talk. We're going to give you some examples, and hopefully our mind will start working that way. A lot of people's minds never work that way, and it's totally understood. Flip a coin. Everybody knows a coin? Flip it. The odds are that it's going to be heads or tails 50% of the time. That notation is 0.5. But 1 out of 2 or half, or 50% or 0.5 would be its probability of that. Now, we'll get to things a little bit more complicated. An ace of diamonds. Now you have 2 different variables. You got to figure out, well, what are the probability of an ace? In a standard deck of cards, and I don't even know where these things came from. There's 52 cards, we know that. There's 4 aces, and then there's 4 suits, and those 4 aces, you know, diamonds, hearts, etc., etc. And so then the probability of it being a particular suit, being a diamond in this case, is 1 out of 4. And the odds of it being an ace is 1 out of 13. All right? Coincidentally, if you multiply 4 times 13, what do you get? And how many cards are in a deck of cards? 52 cards. So it makes sense. But theirs are their assigned probabilities. 1 out of 13 is 0.077, and 1 out of 4 is 0.25. Moving along in our math lesson here. 3 of a kind, we see that it's the odds of having any one of those cards are then multiplied by the number of cards that you're looking at. So you got 1 out of 13 for those aces, 1 at 0.07. So then the probability of having those 3 would be 0.0769 or 0.077 times the other one times the other one, and that would give you the probability. See how that number keeps getting smaller? 0.004, just the odds of getting three kings there. And then when you want to go the hearts, it's maybe a little bit easier to maybe just get 3 hearts because there's 13 of those. So anyways, hopefully we're following along with math lessons and we get this part. If not, ask questions later on. Okay, why are we talking about all this? God created the earth to be inhabited. I don't know how he did it. David somehow got some of my notes. I think there's a spy. Job 38. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if you have understanding. Who has laid the measures of it, if you know? Who has stretched a line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened, or who laid the cornerstone thereof? These are all rhetorical questions to Job, which of course he could not answer, nor can any of us answer, because we didn't create it. Somebody else did. And maybe I hope to prove that to you a little bit. Why did he do all this? Isaiah 45:18. For thus saith the Lord that created the heavens, God himself hath formed the earth and made it. He hath established it. He created it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited. I am the Lord, and there is none else. Let's maybe apply some of our proofs and see if we can get through some of this. All right, in our solar system, our used to be 9 planets when I was a kid. Something happened to one of them. There's 8 now. It is what it is. But in our solar system, the planets are kind of distributed out a little bit. And then beyond the planets, and we didn't even get into that, the solar system actually goes out, our solar system actually goes out about twice as far as the planets, believe it or not. But if you just look at the area that is, I don't want to say inhabited because nobody's there, but that there is something in that space, and you look at the probability of the earth, you have this little habitable zone, the green part. I'm supposed to use this. Does that work? There we go, green thing. And of course, this isn't really like, it's not laid out like it really would be because it'd be quite a bit further than that. But the habitable zone in the area that there are some sort of celestial body is only 1 in 41. So there's our first statistic. We got it right there. Is it over here? There we go. 1 in 41. So we're going to look at some more things. Of course, this is the distance from the sun. Why is that important? If you're too close, things will get a little warm. If you're too far away, things will get awful cold real quick. So there's only a small habitable zone. In itself, that's actually remarkable that the earth is in that the habitable zone. Look at something else here. Talk about optics. Anybody ever seen this? Anybody know what this is? I used to know the word. Let's see if I can read it. I probably wrote it down. Spectroscopy. Spectroscopy. It's the I guess the way that scientists have decided that they can determine an element from some great distance away. And it works really good if you try to do it locally too. Apparently you can shine a light even at great distances, and you can determine whether an object, in this case, a celestial body, another planet or another sun or whatever the case may be, whether it has 2 essential elements, right? And those would be, I can put it up there, hydrogen and oxygen. You don't have hydrogen and you don't have oxygen, you don't have life as far as we know, right? So they're able to shine lights way out into as far as they can, and they really can't shine lights very far, by the way. We're really limited in our abilities, but we can shine them out a little bit, and we know that of 10,000 investigated planets out in not only our solar systems, but in surrounding solar systems, we have been able to detect the presence of hydrogen and oxygen, both, only 4 of them, which is pretty amazing. Pretty small statistical number. It's up there. There we go. Again, this is not all-inclusive. A planet's size relative to its sun impacts its rotational speed. As the sun is there and the planets are moving around, if a planet is too big, it doesn't rotate fast enough, and you get a hot spot or a cold spot. If it's too small, rotates too fast, and it stays too hot, right? So the size of the planet is important so that we don't burn up. All these things are important. Mars and Earth, at least in our solar system, are the only two planets that have a reasonably rotation speed that keeps them from overheating or getting too cold. So that's just another probability. Pretty high probability, 0.22. 2 of 9. I said 9, people are going to argue. Some say 8, which would be even greater. All right. Saturn and Jupiter, the linebackers. Anybody familiar with asteroids? They're in our solar system and in every solar system. They cruise around. They're just like basically space debris that has its own orbit, especially some of them like comets, etc. They have their own orbit, and it can just kind of cruise around a solar system and cause all sort of havoc. If you look at our moon, it's caused havoc there quite a few times. If you look at the Earth, it apparently has created havoc here a few times. If we didn't have these two larger planets in our solar system, we would be in trouble. These guys basically protect us because as these asteroids are cruising around the solar system, these big guys manage to catch a lot of them. And if we didn't have those large planets, more likely than not on a regular basis, the Earth would be bombarded by asteroids. And that's not good. About this one anyways, killer asteroids. I thought I'd throw this one in there. Just for odds, because again, I like statistics. Odds of dying in a plane crash, 1 in 30,000. I suppose you have to actually get on that plane, right? So people that don't get on the plane, they're probably not susceptible to that particular one, although I guess a wheel could fall off and take anybody out. But that's apparently the odd for that. Dying in a tornado, 1 in 60,000. I know this is grim. Everybody's like, what is he talking about? Odds of dying because of an asteroid is 1 in 250,000. Now, I think that's talking about over all time periods. So we're not like going to say you 250,000 are probably going to die. But we're talking about over the habitable period of the Earth, 1 in 250,000, they suppose that's fun. But the odds are still less likely of that than being hit by a bus. So you're in good shape. Yep. Okay, size. Size matters. If a planet is too dense, it attracts other objects. If it's not dense enough, it can't form an atmosphere. If you don't have an atmosphere, you don't have rain. And life doesn't work very well without rain. It has to be just the right size. Not only its distance from the sun, but in fact its actual mass. You know, it can't be all gold or silver or whatever the case may be. It has to be just right. So whoever the creator is, they had to make the mass of the earth just exactly right. This one's not very common. And this phenomena I did hear in a talk last year at Canadian Bible School. Brother there gave a similar talk, and he talked about this thing called the Goldilocks zone. And the Goldilocks zone just deals with how the mass of the earth is so important. And if you don't get that right, then you can't have life. Only 3 in 150,000 known planets qualify. Only 3. Orbital plane. This one's pretty interesting. We don't think about this one very often. So the orbital plane is a planet's path around its sun, right? And imagine if your path wasn't nearly perfectly circular. What would happen? You're going to swing way out here, away from your sun, and you're going to get ice cold. And you're going to swing really close, and you're going to get really hot, right? Well, some of the planets do, in fact, do have these phenomenal swings, even in our solar system. Uranus is also circular, and it has a 4.7% variance. In other words, it's not perfectly round, it's elliptical, and its ellipse is 4.7% off of being perfectly round. Mercury varies by 40%. It's even more elliptical. In other words, it's kind of got a narrow path, and it really swings out and comes back. And as we know, it's not habitable. A 2% variation, just 2%, causes a swing of 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Just 2%. So God put our solar system, our Earth, in the solar system and arranged its rotation perfectly so we wouldn't have these 40 to 50% swings daily. Imagine. Sometimes it does that in Arkansas. I don't know if it does it here. A 3% difference would make it completely uninhabitable, no matter what. Only 6 in 100 known planets that we can observe their orbits around their suns have a nearly circular orbit. So we have that as another statistics. There's a lot more to it. According to Joe, and I'm just working off of memory, these individuals had found 28 different variables. We've only looked at 6 or 7 of them, and time wouldn't allow for me to sit here and show you all these different things. So we're going to go back to the math problem that we're sent to solve here today. And we're going to give some of the other things that it could have been. 7 out of 75 celestial bodies or planets have an atmosphere. That's not very many. Approximately 1 in 12 known planets have a large moon required to stabilize their tides. If we didn't have our moon, our tides would be crazy. We probably wouldn't have the mountains. We probably would only have tidal surges that would cover most of the land mass mostly every day if that moon wasn't there to hold our planet into accountability. Life-supporting planets must have a moving crust. These are other things that they absolutely must have. A moving crust, they must have land masses, they must have proper liquid ratios, water, etc. And they must have a proper spot in their galaxy, which is something we haven't even got into. So I hope that we have demonstrated to some degree that all these things are not by chance. That a very intentional designer, the same intentional designer, by the way, that designed you and me, that the little things about us that made us where we have the ability to recognize that there is a God. There's a good verse for this. Let me find that one real quick, because I know some of y'all are saying, well, where's he going to talk about that one? Here we go. Romans 1:20. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Now, why did God create all this evidence that we can't ignore? Because he doesn't want us to have an excuse and believe in all this craziness. He wants us to recognize that God himself created the world. He created it with purpose. And I'm here today to tell you, if you haven't already heard, that he created it to glorify himself. The glory of the Lord will cover the earth just as the waters cover the seas. I think that's from Habakkuk. That wasn't one of my verses. But nevertheless, he wants us to know this, and he wants us to worship him. And we got to get with the program. If we're that fence sitter or bench warmer or even that all-star, we've got to get with the program. We've got to encourage one another. And if you will hold on and grow your little seed, you will be able to move mountains. Thank you. Oh, hold on just a second. We never answered the mathematical problem, did we? Okay, here we go, to those who actually want to solve the problem. So if we just take those statistical things from those very few things that we saw, and there have 7 or 8 there, and we multiply them times each other, which was what we learned earlier, then we see that the answer is 2.76 to the negative 16, 1 in 27.6 quadrillion. Now, if you think that's probable, if for whatever reason you think that's probable, I'm going to give you some things to compare it to. Okay, a random human being throwing a dart and hitting a bullseye, and this could be anyone. That's its probability according to the internet. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I have hit the bullseye before, but it doesn't happen every time, and it sure doesn't happen with just a random human being. It's a pretty tough, hard thing to do. Becoming a movie star or a celebrity, that's the odds of that. It's it's a lot easier to hit the bullseye than it is to become one of those things. Hitting a hole in one playing golf. Never done this. Maybe some of you have, but that are the odds of that happening. Being struck by lightning, 1e to the negative 6. That's the odds of you being struck by lightning. You being struck by lightning 1,000,000 times is expressed as 1e to the negative 12. Let's see what these odds are. 2.76 to the negative 16. Whole lot less improbable that all these things are random or by chance or not created by our Creator Yahweh. Thank you for your attention.